Welcome to Sports Bytes. With your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home. Get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
Oh, that's right, everybody. Let's dig into another episode of Big 12 Bytes. I'm your host, Chris Joseph. Just want to say thank you for hopping in. This is my 30-minute quick hitter talking about the Big 12 Conference, the games that happened last weekend, a look ahead to the games that are coming up. Also, I'll go over my Big 12 power rankings. But again, thank you. If you're watching, right down there on X at Sports Bytes Pod 1, on TikTok at Sports Bytes Pod, subscribe on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything, guys. It'll help me out tremendously if you subscribe at Sports Bytes Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, Sports Bytes Podcast as well, and that's Bytes, B-Y-T-E-S. And I say that because, like this show, it's a quick hitter. And we always talk about food as well, right? We're going to talk about food. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk some ball. Again, I want to say thank you. If you're seeing the logo up there in the corner, I'll get it right, Dogs TV. Thank you to everybody at College Football Dogs. There is some great content being put out by the College Football Dogs, guys. Not just podcasts, not videos. There's articles. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pike from the College Football Dogs. So stay tuned. Keep your eye out because the College Football Dogs, we're doing some stuff. But let's go ahead and hop right in. We're going to talk about some Big 12 football. I talked a little bit about this game yesterday when I did the ACC Bytes rendition. BYU, SMU, they played at Gerald Ford Stadium. Preston Stone he's getting benched. Mr. Ratzlaff from BYU still finding a way to be on the field. 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but BYU finds a way to win that game, 18-15. If you look at some of the team stats in there, it kind of tells you no team can really do anything. I mean, BYU is 2 of 13 on third down. SMU was 3 of 16. Now, SMU only gained 261 yards. That's it. 261 yards. Preston Stone, 2 of 4 for 4 yards, just not getting it done for the Ponies. It'll be interesting to see how they progress on. A lot of people had them, possibly being a dark horse for the ACC. I don't think it's going to happen, not this year. It's headed to Saturday and the slate of games. It starts Utah, Baylor. A lot of people think Utah is your number one candidate to win the Big 12, welcoming in Baylor to Rice-Eccles Stadium. And Uncle Rico, Cam Rising, gets hurt in the game, but Utah wins. They jump out. They're up 17-0 in the first quarter. And you're like, okay, this is what I was talking about. Utah has a chance to be really good in the Big 12. Cameron Rising was 8 of 14, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. Micah Bernard running the ball, 19 carries, 118 yards. Utah really never in jeopardy, I think, of losing this game. Now, I'm still waiting to hear back exactly from Cam Rising, how he is. It was a hand issue, but I don't want to speculate. I think he'll be okay, but we'll see. Number 17, Kansas State, went on the road. Now, I was intrigued about this game because, of course, my guys, Oklahoma, they played Tulane next, and that's who Kansas State was playing. And Tulane gave Kansas State everything they want. Tulane should have won that football game. And, and hearing the story of Darian Mensah, the quarterback from Tulane, not being recruited, a no-star athlete, I believe I heard, 19 of 29, 342 on the day with 2 touchdowns. Avery Johnson, 15 of 23, 181 yards. He had 2 touchdowns as well. DJ Giddens, 114 yards on 19 carries. But it took, a late fumble, scoop, and score. I mean, Tulane is going in to take a 34-27 lead itself, or at least a 30-27 lead. But a fumble from Mensah, just not doing a good job protecting the ball when he was scrambling around. But kudos to Kansas State. They got it done. Tough win on the road. Now Tulane's going to come to Oklahoma, and Kansas State has Arizona. We're going to talk about that in the What's Up Next section. But good game there. Speaking of Arizona, they welcomed in Northern Arizona, the Lumberjacks, and it was a lot closer than people would have thought. It was 10-6 at half. Northern Arizona. Noah Fafita, only 173 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Big T-Mac, he was held to only 2 catches. Mr. McMillan, only 2 catches, 11 yards. But Arizona gets out of there with a victory over Northern Arizona. Wildcats, it'll be Wildcat on Wildcat crime this week as Arizona and Kansas State play. The Hawkeyes and the Iowa State Cyclones, the Cy-Hawk Award. I talked about this on the live on Monday. I'll admit, I was a person who said I didn't buy into Rocco Beck. I didn't buy in to what he was bringing to the table. But again, you look at the box score, right? And I'm not just trying to read the box score, but you look at like team stats. Iowa State had 361 yards. They had 272 yards passing. Now, Iowa ran the ball really well, 204 yards rushing, but Cade McNamara is not that guy at quarterback. He's not. Now, Iowa State struggled on third down, 2 of 14. Iowa was 6 of 17. But when it came down to it, Iowa State made the plays. Kick the field goal, walk off, win the Cy-Hawk in front of your rivals. Nothing feels better when you get one of those trophy games, right? Give one of those trophy games, you can move on. Pittsburgh takes down Cincinnati 28-7. And, Pitt, it's interesting how they're going to be this year. Cincinnati, a lot of people thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12, and they very might well be. West Virginia and the University of Albany squared off, and good job for West Virginia to bounce back. But they gave up 306 yards to the Albany quarterback and 1 touchdown. But they win 49-14. The big backyard brawl coming up next for West Virginia. Now, the team that just keeps winning, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about yet, KJ Jefferson in the UCF Golden Knights, and I don't think KJ has really had a complete game yet for the Knights, but they just keep winning. They just keep winning. And that's what you want to see if you're a coach, right? They beat Sam Houston, who's a good football team, 45-14. Really took it to them, beat them up really bad, and kudos to the Golden Knights. Man, watch out for them. Watch out for them. Had some Big 12 late night action, Arizona State and Mississippi State. Arizona State jumped out really big. Mississippi State came back late in the game. Blake Shapen, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Arizona State sitting at 2-0 right now. Good for them. Washington State and Texas Tech up at the Palouse, the Leach Bowl, and Texas Tech loses. Washington State, the Cougars come away 37-16 victors, and Texas Tech they're struggling big time right now. Really, really struggling. The TCU Horned Frogs are at 2-0. They beat the Long Island University Sharks 45-0 at Amon G. Carter Stadium. Mr. Hoover at quarterback, 267 yards, 2 tugs, and Long Island just kind of overmatched in that particular game. A game that I had a lot of intrigue in, Kansas and the Illini. And again, it's one of those I can admit when I'm wrong. I did not believe in Luke Altmaier and Illinois. I thought Kansas was going to go in and kind of steamroll them, and they didn't. Didn't do it. Luke Altmaier had 192 yards on the day. Didn't turn the ball over. So you got to love that. Jalen Daniels, 18-32, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 costly picks. Devin Neal, 14 carries, 101 yards. Daniel Highshaw Jr., the Moore Lion from Moore, Oklahoma, 7 carries, 39 yards. Daniels added 10 carries and 35 yards as well. But the Illini made the play, sitting there at 2-0. Kudos to the Illini. I thought Kansas was going to go in there and just take that one easily. I was wrong. I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. I promise. Glad I didn't put that in any of my picks. The game up in Stillwater had Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Man, you look at what the game was early. Whoo! I thought Arkansas was going to cruise. Taylor Green was dicing up Oklahoma State. to the tune of 416 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Ollie Gordon bottled up all day except until the end in overtime when he scores on a 12-yard touchdown run to give him the lead for good. Arkansas racked up 648 yards of offense. The bad thing is 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers. I mean, it was 21-7 at half. And you're thinking, oh my goodness. But Arkansas let Oklahoma State come back. They took the lead in the fourth quarter, 28-21, before it was tied. Luke Has, the young man from Bixby, one of the Bixby Spartans, and they go back and forth. Now, I don't know if you're Sam Pittman, if you really say that the season's a bust now, but for Mike Gundy, I think you see something from your team. Now, there's a lot of people that think Oklahoma State has a chance to win the Big 12. And they did it. They showed they could do it without Ollie Gordon doing everything, if that makes sense. And they came back. I think Alan Bowman, the maturation of Alan Bowman as a quarterback, yes, he's mature because of how old he is, but they didn't get rattled. They didn't get flustered, they didn't press the panic button. And Oklahoma State prevailed in double overtime to knock off Arkansas 39-31. Now, the game that involved my team, I always root for, Oklahoma, former Big 12 conference player, taking on the Houston Cougars. And all Oklahoma fans thought this was going to be a cakewalk, right? UNLV came in and dog-walked Houston last week. Willie Fritz is a good coach, and you see what they did from week 1 to week 2. They took the time, and they executed. Now, Oklahoma is struggling because of injuries across the offensive line and wide receiver, but still unable to really do anything. Defense played good, not great. Defense played good for Oklahoma, but Houston got screwed on right off the rip. Oklahoma goes 3 and out to start the game. Great offensive set, kind of foreshadowing for the whole day. But they punt, and it took a weird kind of sideways bounce when it hit the ground, and the referee ruled that the Houston returner had touched it. You couldn't really tell on TV. There was no definitive proof. So the call stood. I don't think he touched it. I think Oklahoma got extremely lucky. They go in, score, go up 7-0. But Jackson Arnold getting really antsy. And I'm interested to see how well Houston is playing at the end of the year under Willie Fritz. Because if that's the kind of improvement they made from week 1 to week 2, I'm intrigued to see what Houston keeps doing. Now, that loss to UNLV was bad, but if you're a Houston fan, you got to have a little faith. Banjack at receiver, that guy can get it. 3 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Little, sneaky route runner, but really good. Really, really good stuff. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Chris Joseph. I am your host of Sports Bytes Podcast. This is the Big 12 Bytes edition, week 2. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the games that are on the schedule ahead for the Big 12. And a big one on Thursday night, Arizona State and Texas State. Whew. Man, this game, I'm really intrigued. Texas State quarterback Jordan McLeod playing really well. Texas State putting up points in bunches. The over-under on this game is 59.5. I would probably play the over. I know a lot of people don't like to play, stay away from the totals. But the spread is Arizona State. Now, they're going to go to Bobcat Stadium down in San Marcos, Texas, Thursday night, hosting a Power 4 conference. That crowd's going to be insane. Texas State getting 1.5 at home? Yes, sir. Give me Texas State plus 1.5. I'm all over that. McLeod, and then you got to think about the running back. The running back for Texas State, Ish Mahdi, freshman All-American. He was on the Golden Boot. The guys, all my friends over at the Golden Boot podcast, Ish Mahdi joined him talking about this season. Texas State, could they be one of those teams that wins a group of 5 conference and pushes for a spot in the playoffs? They're playing like it right now. You beat a Power 4 school, that's going to help you out. Now, Friday, couple of games, UNLV, Kansas. That game again, so I talked about UNLV in Houston. Now, UNLV is a decent team. They played for their conference championship last year. They've got some athletes. Catalan in the backfield, right? That safety. He's a Sunday player. He had a pick six in that Houston game. So that's why it's going to intrigue me, that game. It's in Kansas City, Children's Mercy Park. Daniels and Neal have got to play better. The spread is Kansas by 7.5, a total of 58.5. I would probably take... Does Kansas bounce back? I mean, I like what UNLV did. I'd probably take UNLV plus the 7.5. But, of course, Vegas was not built on losers, right? They're not built on losers. Also, Friday night, the game that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in for the Big 12 in the weekend, probably the best game of the Big 12, only game with ranked opponents at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, Kansas State and Arizona. Noah Fafita against Avery. It's going to be an entertaining football game. DJ Giddens, T-Mac. I mean, there's offensive talent all across the field. Kansas State favored by 7, a total of 60.5. I like the over. I like the over. I'd stay away from the spread myself, but I like the over. Oklahoma State kicks off on Saturday at 11 a.m. on ESPN2 at Chapman Stadium, taking on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Oklahoma State should win that game fairly easily. All right? Oklahoma State's favored by 19, a total of 62.5. I would give the 19 points to Tulsa. I think Oklahoma State absolutely mollywops Tulsa this weekend. Cincinnati travels on the road to Yager Stadium in Oxford, Ohio, to take on the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Aren't they the Redhawks? Yeah, the Redhawks. That's what they are. I want to make sure I got that right. They travel to Miami, Ohio. Cincinnati favored by 3.5, a total of 46.5. Whew. Now, I will say this. Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback for Cincinnati, he's been spinning it. 681 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2 games. I mean, he's putting up some numbers. I like Cincinnati minus the 3.5 in that game. Texas Tech and North Texas. Jones AT&T Stadium at Lubbock. Chandler Morris, who's been at a couple different places, right? Chandler Morris has been all over the place. He was born in Highland Park, Texas. And, boy, that guy started at Oklahoma in 2020, went to TCU, and now he's the starting quarterback at the University of North Texas. So he kind of stayed in that little triangle area. But Chandler Morris, quarterback in North Texas, Texas Tech favored by 9.5, a total of 69.5. I would take the over in this game. I don't know enough about North Texas, but I would probably take North Texas plus the 9.5 points. It'll probably be up to 10 by the time kickoff happens. Just because Texas Tech is going to give up a ton of points. I mean, Abilene Christian took them to overtime, right? So I like North Texas to put up some points. For my relatives in West Virginia, the backyard brawl. No sitting couches on fire, guys. West Virginia versus Pitt. West Virginia favored by 2. Utah, give me 2. Total of 63.5. I'd probably go with the under in that game. West Virginia has to get this win. They have to get this win. A lot of people had them as a dark horse in the Big 12. And then that game against Penn State happened. They started off good, but then the rain delay came. Hard to kind of break down exactly what transpired. But I like West Virginia in this game. I think they're going to take down the Fighting Narduzzi's. Utah and Utah State, this one should be over pretty quickly. Utah's just a better football team. Even if Cam Rising is not 100%, Utah's favored by 20, a total of 44.5. I like Utah. Give me Utah minus a 20 in that. Now, Air Force at Baylor, McLean Stadium. Air Force is always tough. The service academies are always tough. Now, obviously, do you think Baylor has better athletes? Sure, Baylor should have better athletes. They're a Power 4 school, right? They should. But I love it. I remember I always talk, and I know I've told the story before on Sports Bytes, that my former co-host in Oklahoma was Butkus Award winner, All-American linebacker Teddy Lehman. And I asked him one day during the show, who is the toughest opponent you played non-conference that people would never really think of? And he didn't hesitate. He didn't miss a beat. Air Force. He said they're fundamental. They play to the whistle. They're tough to play, especially Oklahoma went up there in 2001, played in the altitude. But they're playing at McLean Stadium. You still get tickets for $27. Air Force and that option, a total of 41.5. I like the under because I think Air Force can grind the clock out, control that game. 15.5, I'd probably take Air Force plus the 15.5 in that. Central Florida TCU, big game down in the DFW area. Tickets going for as low as $67. KJ comes in, UCF a 2.5-point favorite, a total of 61.5. I like this game. Really intrigues me because I want to see how Hoover and Jefferson play at the quarterback positions for each team. The matchup predictor has Central Florida favored 55.2% is the predictor in favor of TCU. Rice and Houston, I think Houston gets their first victory. I'm just not sold on Rice. Now, E.J. Warner, the son of Kurt Warner, is the quarterback for Rice. He's played well, still turns the ball over a little bit too much. I think Houston bounce backs, gets their first win. Houston favored by 4 with a total of 44.5. I would probably take the over in that one. BYU and Wyoming, these two they've always played good games. Now, it's at War Memorial Stadium in Laramie, Wyoming, 8 p.m. Too bad it's not like in November where there's a chance of snow. I like BYU in this game. BYU favored by 11 with a total of 40.5. Now, 6:30 p.m. CBS, and I find it funny that it's CBS because Coach Prime in Colorado returned to Fort Collins after that game last year, Colorado and Colorado State. Shiloh Sanders has had surgery. Shador, everybody talk about him walking off the field and Dion coming out and these stories that are popping up about him telling the band not to play the fight song, but they wanted to pump Shador's song, Perfect Timing or whatever it is, across the PA. He came out, refuted those claims, but it's funny how people have turned so quick. Because even last year, I was a big supporter of Prime. He brought the eyes back to Colorado, and as an old Big 8 guy, when McCartney had them playing really well, I was happy to see Colorado back up there. Folsom Field, always tough to play. One of my good friends, PJ Mills, we used to host a show together, former wide receiver at Oklahoma. He says one of the scariest he's ever been because he felt the ground shake and turn around, and here they come running with Ralphie. But with Prime, there comes that time to where you've been talking, but you're not delivering anything. I think Colorado is probably one of the lower-end teams in the Big 12 because they still haven't figured out anything. Nebraska was in Sanders' face all night every time he dropped back. And kudos to Shador. I think he is a good quarterback. I would love to see what he could do where he had time, he could actually read a defense. So in that respect, I think Shador will play on Sundays. I just hope that Dion doesn't come with him. But that game, 6:30, and like I said, it's funny it's on CBS because I'm not answering your question because of what CBS said. Now your game's on CBS. Colorado favored by 7, a total of 58.5. I'd probably take the over, and I'd probably take Colorado State plus a 7 in that game. That's where I'd be. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch, but I also think Colorado's not that good of a team. They're just not. Just not. All right, now it's time for my Big 12 power rankings. Going to start from the bottom, number 16, Texas Tech. All the talk at the beginning of the year that the Big 12 championship ran through Lubbock. It ain't running through Lubbock. Texas Tech is not a good football team. I got Colorado down there at 15. I don't think they're a good football team. And it's sad because they have one of the best players in the country in Travis Hunter. They have a damn good quarterback in Shador. But again, it's the way that Prime has gone about business. And like I said, all the talking, you're not backing it up. You're losing games. I think they lose to Colorado State. Houston's 0-2, but I got them kind of moving up. I think they win this week. And again, Willie Fritz is a damn good football coach. Damn good football coach. And I think they get their first win. Bearcats at number 13. I got the Baylor Bears at 12. West Virginia, take me home. Number 11. BYU comes in at number 10 at 2-0. Arizona State's forks up. 2-0 on the year. Big game for them. Arizona, I'm intrigued with that game. I really am. Number 8, Kansas at 1-1. There's still a lot of people think that they can go and really do a good job in the Big 12. TCU at number 7. They're going to be really good. That game's going to be a lot of fun. Number 6, Iowa State. They're at 2-0. Congratulations to all the Cyclone fans. Central Florida at 2-0. Kansas State at number 4. UCF is at number 5. I've got Arizona at 3. Utah at 2. And I had Oklahoma State taking over Utah this week. I had Utah as my number 1 team in my power rankings last week. But I think Oklahoma State right now has the best win in the Big 12. Right now, I think it's the best win. And it could be Kansas State. Tulane could be one of those teams. And that game is going to be interesting against Oklahoma because Tulane, you found you could compete with the Power 4. And that the moral victory, I don't believe in this moral victory. We hung tough. If they can beat Oklahoma, go out and win the American Athletic Conference, they could be right there. But Oklahoma State with the victory over Arkansas. Arkansas comes out, puts up a ton of points. Gets a lead. Oklahoma State doesn't falter. Leadership. That's why Bowman came back. That's why Gordon came back. I've been loving hearing some of the press conferences from Mike Gundy. He was always a joy to talk to when I was out in Oklahoma covering football, Big 12 media days and the such. And I still remember watching Mike play high school football at Midwest City, the Bombers. I think if I'm right, Midwest City was the first high school to appear on ESPN. Damn good football team. Mike Gundy could sling it, right? But Oklahoma State is my number 1. But that's going to wrap up here for Big 12 Bytes Week 2. I want to say thank you for listening. Leave a comment. Tell me if you think I'm wrong on any of my power rankings. You can tell me I'm stupid that I got Colorado so low, that you think Kansas should be higher, should be lower. I love the interaction. I love talking ball. Now also stay tuned because I'll have SEC Bytes coming up and Big 10 Bytes. A lot to talk about in the Big 10 and the SEC. But also Friday night, Football Friday night, will be live on YouTube. You can follow it right there at Sports Bytes Podcast on YouTube. All the socials. I have a Facebook page again, Sports Bytes. Sports, B-Y-T-E-S. You'll see the logo on the side, the little maroon and gray looking kind of headphones. Come by. Enjoy the live. Jump in the chat. Let's talk some ball. Let's have some fun, right? I'm all for it. It's like a barbershop. We're just going to sit around, chop it up, and we're going to have a good time. Now, I will say, what I had tonight, man, I always talk about food, right? I always talk about food. So tonight was taco night because it's Tuesday, or it's Wednesday, sorry. We made tacos tonight, but we made the cheesy double-decker tacos. We got the Velveeta spread, put it on the flour tortilla, put the corn shell in the middle, hit all the accoutrement, the meat, cheese, sour cream, lettuce, tomato, onion, squeeze some lime on it. I love taco night. I love taco night. And I could do chicken, I could do steak, I could do shrimp, I could do fish taco. I love breakfast tacos. Tacos, tacos, tacos. I love them. Bring me all the tacos. Now, I did see, someone said tacos mean more than pumpkin spice. There's a lot of people that would disagree with that, but I'm one of those people that agrees that tacos are the, like Dan used to say on Ted Lasso, football is life, tacos are life. They're life. But again, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody that has come along with me on this journey. I hope you have a great week heading into another exciting football weekend. If you're going out to high school games on Thursday and Friday, enjoy it. Remember, let the kids have fun. They don't need to hear you in the stands, belittling referees and stuff like that. Just go enjoy the game. Enjoy your games this weekend. Hopefully, I'll talk to you on Friday. But until then, everybody, remember to always positively move forward.
Thanks for joining joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bytes. With your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bytes.